Hello Gears fans, this is Gao Series Videos and we are ready to show you our analysis on the E3 trailers of Gears 5. This is gonna be a combination between a frame-by-frame analysis and a deepening on some details that are relevant for us. So let's begin. With a brave choice and absolutely consistent with facts told in Gears 4, Kait has become the protagonist of a new adventure. We can see her in a renewed appearance. She left Anya's armor to wear a uniform made for her. The new armor is very similar to the one seen in a concept art developed for Gears for free and later rejected. The more important detail is that Kait no longer wears her hat, an object that in the symbolism of Gears world, like the bandana for Marcus and the goggles for Baird, we know that have a particular meaning. Something has changed in her, and this is also reflected in her appearance. The next scene shows a glimpse of a snowy village. A team of COG soldiers, including Kait and Del, may have been sent to the site for a rescue mission. On the ground, we can see a corpse and a long trail of blood behind him. We are not shown who it is. It's clear, however, that his body has been dramatically torn apart. Del, who has come back and wears a new armor, is extremely protective with Kait. Their friendship could have strengthened a lot after the adventure lived. He wears a device that seems technologically advanced, whose function is still unknown. It could be a biometric function detector, or maybe it could perform various tasks, including replacing the old TACCOM. Behind Del, there is another COG soldier, characterized by an hairstyle with a crest and a pair of sunglasses. Looking at this armor and listening to the dialogue, we discover that his name is Faz Chutani. Later we'll talk about him again. Kait falls on her knees broken after reaching the corpse, while he is quickly covered by two civilians using a blanket. From the size of the individual, we can suppose that he is Oscar Diaz, Kait's uncle. The rescue request may have been sent by him. While Kait is shattered by pain, a hand appears on her shoulder. This is Fenix, whose appearance is so different from the previous chapter that left us floored. His face is marked by a deep scar and appears much more mature and severe. He shows up with completely shaved hair and a thick beard. The right forearm of JD seems deeply damaged and is covered with an electronic reticule connected to a device at the height of the bicep. We remind that the presentation trailer of Gears 4 ended with a Panzer who jumped to JD and brutally scrambled his forearm, but in the final game we have not seen that scene. However, this could be an event already planned at the time of development of Gears 4, but that will happen only after the facts of the campaign, marking a first step towards the change of JD. The sorrow of JD for Kait seems sincere to us, but it emerges quite clearly that he did not have a deep connection with the victim. His relationship with Oscar was mutual tolerance, so we can assume that it was him. Del thanks James for joining them. This lets us understand that, for reasons related to the orders of the COG, or simply dictated by personal choices, JD, Kait and Del have followed different paths and do not meet frequently. Behind JD, we can see that Marcus Fenix approaches Kait, still on her knees. Kait stops the discussion between JD and Del, stating that she would not return to New Ethera. Seized by despair, she reveals to the group that she has had nightmares for several months, and she believed that they were messages to her. In this moment, she shows the necklace to the group, pointing the locus symbol to them. Marcus asks if the necklace belonged to her grandmother. Actually, Kait had already shown it to the group, turning the symbol towards herself, and we don't know for sure if the others saw that and understood the meaning of the necklace on that occasion. This could be the actual moment in which Marcus understands the connection between her and Mira. This sequence we can clearly see the weapon in Chutani's hands. This one has the structure of a classic Lancer, but shows at least 3 changes. The weapons butt resembles that of the Marcus version, but has the style of DB weapons. The magazine and the gun sight have the same style, and there are components similar to those of the buskill instead of the chainsaw. Could it be a secondary grenade launcher? All these alterations can mean the introduction of a customization system for weapons in this new chapter. We would absolutely love that. Looking at Kait's expression in detail, we can see the evident graphic improvements that this new chapter will bring with it. The polygonal modeling, despite having maintained the same style, has made a significant step forward. Marcus without beard seems so much younger than in Gears 4. His reintroduction into society after a long period of isolation seems to have had effects on his appearance in general. He no longer looks like a solitary angry hermit, but has taken back the usual respectability that has always distinguished him. Going back to the events of the cutscene, Kait asks Marcus for help to understand what is happening to her. He talks about a place up north where they could find the answers. Could this place be New Hope, with a logical connection to Mount Kadar? Marcus suggests going together, but JD is opposed. In this scene, we can see that the apparently infected arm causes him a great pain and is deeply damaging him. It seems that he can keep his condition under control only thanks to that sort of technological containment. JD reiterates that they have orders to follow. Dell proposes to go with her, saying that a possible absence of Marcus would be noticed immediately by Jean. An implicit confirmation that even Marcus has come back to the army, probably with an important role, and that Jean has maintained her strict control. Marcus says that he'll push coordinates into Jack, confirming the return of our beloved bot. JD stops the conversation again, and turning directly to Kait, he calls her Corporal and orders her to come back with them to New Ethera. The rapprochement of JD to the cog seems to have made him a completely different person and a wholehearted soldier. Kait answers by calling him Captain and sending him to hell, so JD moved from the rank of lieutenant to that of captain, proving once again that his position in the government is more stable than ever. JD is visually shocked by the friend's insubordination, and being unable to stop her, he orders Dell to keep an eye on her. James fears that nightmares are dragging her into a road with no return, as if the network was infecting her mind with images of the swarm and its creature, including Mira herself and her mother Reyna. Another figure appears among the various flashbacks of the past. It's clearly a Locust, though his eyes are vitreous like those of old Scion. Who is him? He could be the new leader of the swarm, the one who manages the capture of human beings to enlarge the army. It seems that Kait and this creature are somehow connected. The instant when they both open their eyes seems to indicate that in some way he was looking for her, and at that point he found her, awakening her from the nightmare. Finally, it seems that also the narrative and the characterization have made a huge leap forward. The duplicity of Jean and Prescott as good characters is almost overshadowed by the possibility that Kait could join the Swarm faction, by will or for fate. Before continuing with the analysis of the cinematic, we want to focus on the inedit scene of the announced trailer, in which Kait is captured by a Snatcher in the same village where the dialogues take place. The man lying on the ground may have been killed during the attack of the village. If it was really Oscar, he could have sacrificed himself to save his niece. Kait's capture shows us a very particular element in the background. On closer inspection, it would seem the rib cage of a gigantic animal. Judging by the size, the only creature big enough to that bones is the riftworm killed in Gears 2. The trailer continues showing us a breathtaking snowy landscape. A combination of lights and construction of the environment really beautiful to look at. Kait and Del began their journey to the north in this frozen lake using the skiff. This new means of transport will allow us to explore the macro areas of the games, from Red Desert to Frozen Tundra. On board of the skiff, in addition to Jackery new in a DB version, there are also some supplies. Looking at them, it doesn't seem to be a fabricator. Maybe they decide not to use it so many times in the next chapter. The announced trailer gives us another detail compared to the cinematic. In the final frame, we see a higher mountain on which the camera poses, and a storm coming. The wind flares are confirmed, and could be really impressive in this new chapter. This sequence of travel in the snowy mountains to a mysterious destination reminds us the Delta's journey aboard the Centaur to Mount Kadar. In this sequence, we can see Kait and Del descending into the ruins of a sunken city. In the screenshot linked to this setting, it's possible to notice that what appears as rocks and cliffs at the first sight are actually bases of destroyed buildings, in which it's still possible to glimpse the metallic structure. Considering that it's a journey to discover the origins of the Locust, it's possible that Kait and Del are trying to reach the Nexus crossing the Jacinto's remnants. Now Kait walks inside what appears to be a UIR military structure in a desert of bright red sand. The base has several abandoned tanks, perhaps unusable, while Del checks the cog tag of an UIR soldier. We wonder why he's wearing a coalition tag. The scene completely changes and we find ourselves in a frozen forest. Some trees have stalactites on the branches, indicating the extreme conditions of the area. This location is probably part of the dreaded Outer Wilds. In this sequence, believe it or not, we find ourselves in one of the most fascinating and iconic places of the entire franchise, the New Hope Research Facility. The corridor in which Kait and Del are walking is the same where Marcus and Dom brought the bomb made by Baird, to destroy the door and bypass the blockade of Niles. Right here, crouching in front of the entrance as to defend a strategic point, we see a new scion called the Warden, with a new design absolutely fantastic. This new enemy wears a helmet similar to that of the Terran class, and he holds two huge claps that he seems to turn on and open before the fight. Now we can see Kait holding one of the claps of the previous enemy. Here the protagonist of Gears 5 uses new melee attacks to destroy in 1,000 pieces a small group of Juvies who try to attack her. The setting changes again and we can see a city street with clear references to the destroyed beauty of the very first chapters. It reminds also the old town of Alpha Bay, seen in Gears of War Judgment, with those flames that surround the area. A huge flock of new enemies with a pattern similar to the krill hovers for the scenery. We can see many interesting elements. First of all, the DBs have the blue LEDs first, to symbolize that before the attack they were certainly allies. Some creatures stick to robots and begin to take control of them. The latter try to get rid of them, but slowly they are connected to the network, exactly as happened to the Gene robot in Gears 4. Their LEDs slowly turn red, proving that we were right when we talked about Swarm DB, half organic and half mechanical. The poor cog soldier is not considered important. The enemy enters his chest and makes him explode from the inside with a truly spectacular gore sequence. In addition to all of this, a new weapon can be seen in Kait's hands. It's not clear if it's completely inedit or if it's a customized version of a weapon as the Armor Burst, whose grip seems very similar. Kait is attacked by an enemy, but she manages to pull out a knife and killing him. That confirms, even if it was quite obvious, the return of the knife as a weapon linked to the executions. A DR1 appears in the scene. He's completely covered by the previous enemies that have transformed it into a member of the Swarm army. One of the DB's arms have landed and turned it into a tripod armed with a 3-shot. This extreme mutation of the DBs vaguely recalls the lambent infection of some locusts, like the gunker, making their appearance grotesque and disturbing. Another change of setting. We can see a kitchen infested by swarm DBs. Apparently, the enemies didn't notice the protagonist. Kait is in a crouched position, which let us think that new stealth mechanics have been introduced. In Gears 4, we only had a taste of them. One of the enemies noticed Kait, interrupting the stealth and bringing the action back to the classic gameplay. Maybe there will be the possibility to customize the snap pistol, adding a silencer. The clash begins. The enemies try to surround Kait to involve her in explosion. The DB hitting the legs breaks, but continues to crawl towards her. In the end, they manage to overwhelm her. The final scene opens with Dell's face, that, hearing the sound of the loaded snub, gets scared and turned. Kait is doubting of the friend's loyalty, creating a moment of tension. We hope that's a signal of a deepening of human relationships. The two E3 trailers of Gears 5 surprised us with all the details that can be noticed. A sign of a greater depth of the story compared to the fourth chapter, and a strong return of the themes and locations of the original trilogy. This will create a continuity between the old saga and the new one, so we appreciate a lot this choice and do not consider it a fan service at all. The focus on the origins of the new enemy was essential to give depth to the history of this new human conflict. We are extremely curious to know new details and the release date of the multiplayer beta. This is Gauss Serious Videos, I'm Screech93, thanks for watching!
Did you see that?